Yeah, dog. Thomas G here. Welcome to R2R live stream, episode number 25. All right, guys. We're streaming on X right now. We're streaming on YouTube. So if you're on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe, post notifications, pound the like button, drop a comment, get the YouTube algorithm going. If you're over on X, right? Let me get over to my X account and acknowledge even this myself. If you're on X, like the video, that we're going live here so people will see, and then repost. Okay, you definitely want to repost this to make sure that everybody knows we're live on and popping. And let me double check really quick. I'm going to X so that I can see that it's live there. Yeah, we are live on X. So I was going to edit this with the hashtags really quick, and we'll get into today Titanx hyperinflation to hyper deflationary. What's going on with this phase? What do I expect? When this phase, I believe, is starting, right? We're in the phase that's about to be hyper deflationary. Things are in motion. There's stats that are undeniable at this point. Undeniable stats that we're going to take a look at. Things that are just, it's mind blowing. I almost hashtag hypertension. That's so funny. Hashtag hypertension. So if you're on X, I just updated that post. Don't forget, like I said, retweet it, like it, all that good stuff. So let's take a look. We'll look at the chat real quick. Okay, good to see you're showing some love to the Titanx. Yeah, man, definitely. The time has come to shine the light on the opportunity of a lifetime. Yo, R2R, what's up? S Rayo X, what's going on, brother? Glad to have you here. Thank you for being here. So where was I? We'll take a look at the price of Titanx. We're gonna get into some deep thought here, right? To project, just to calculate some things that are going on, right? It's good to run math. It's good to understand what's in front of you. It's good to speculate. And I think everybody gets their ideas together and they cramp it up into, one room on X or whatever platform, and we figure out what's going to happen in the near future. Shout out to Iceman. Hyper is being slept on a bit by the community. Absolutely. Great stream. Smart money kept mining Hyper. Yeah, bro. I'm telling you. So I'll get back to the chat in a second here, guys. We'll take a look at the Titanx price right now. Right now, we're 6 zeros and a 7242. If you want price predictions, right, stay tuned. I did a survey earlier, right? I've been in crypto for way too long. And I did this survey. If you want to go to my X page, and it says, how many X's will Titanx do by the end of 2024? Let's take a vote, right? And it looks like 43 people have dropped their vote. And the majority by the end of 2024 are saying a 10x, 37.2%, 25%, 25.6% say 20x, 50x is 11.6%, which is lower than people think 100x. So there's 25.6% so far out of 43 votes that do believe we will 100x by the end of 2024, right? What would make somebody think that? Well, I'll take a look at some data right now, right? It's in the thumbnail. This shouldn't be anything new to you, but if it is new to you, then study the information that's here. You got to always be research. I always look ahead of time, right? So I look down the road, see what's happening. Usually in crypto, it's like, I guess you could say news events, listings, different hypes for different types of tokens. Utility tokens have, this is coming soon and we're building this, that, and that, and we're going to, upgrade or migrate, and we're going to be available on these chains. Utility tokens always have something innovative they're trying to bring to the table. Meme coins are always like, oh, we're going on an exchange, or Justin Sun tweeted about us. With Titanx, we're in a whole different realm, a whole different ballgame. And we're going to jump back after we take a look here. So on September 16th, today, this is the highest day of inflation as far as miners that are minting Titanx that can be claimed, that you will see ever again. Look at the numbers. It's right here. Tomorrow, a huge drop off. And then the next big days are here, which is nothing because as you go along into October, inflation starts to go down drastically all the way towards the end of the year, right? Nothing. So some people would be like, well, with the price of Titanx going up, people are going to make miners again, and we're going to start the miner cycle all over again, and then inflation will be back. Well, here's the kicker, and here's going to tell the story for why I made the video about Hyper yesterday. So we're going to string everything together and piece it together like a puzzle here today. So you got to follow me. You have to follow me, all right? So we're going to look at, we're going to go to Titanx. If you want to follow me, go to the Titanx DApp here, and you're going to go to the white paper. So now I'm going to pull up the white paper here. And a lot of people, back when I was having like the entire issue with staking and all that, I saw a lot of comments where people were like, he doesn't understand the white paper. Bye, see you later. But I was mined out on several wallets all the way till today, all the way to the end of the year. I'll be collecting miners on several wallets. Here's what I understood. And here's why I locked up my positions. This is the key thing that is happening now. All right. Bitcoin has a halving every 4 years, right? There's a Bitcoin halving every 4 years. We just had one in the recent months, a few months back. We just had a Bitcoin halving. And in the cycles that we've been in are always in line with the Bitcoin halvings that happen every 4 years. With Titanx, this halving happens every year, all right? Every year. And even if there is a mining cycle, a second mining cycle that happens, your capabilities and your ability and what's presented to the table has drastically changed in recent times, right? Because the ETH cost for miners goes up 0.08% every day since it's been available, which is the end of October of 2023. We're about to be at the 1 year anniversary at the end of October. So that's increased 0.08% every single day. So when we get to the 1 year mark, right, if we take a look at the calculator, a 0.08% increase over the course of 365 days, right? Or I hit the equal sign, sorry. That is a 29.2% increase on the price of Ethereum that you're going to pay versus what you would have paid at the very beginning. So you'll never get that deal back ever again. It's long gone. It's been going down. We're almost at the 1 year mark, right? That's one thing I understood and why I got in early, right? And I had short-term miners just like everybody else, but I made majority long-term miners. Now, the mineable per day goes down drastically as well. It goes down, if you look at the white paper, you got to follow me here, 0.35% every day based on the day before. This is what mimics the halving event that happens yearly for Titanx versus Bitcoin every 4 years. So the halving event is happening, and it's been happening, but it's going to calculate to the 1 year mark as a pure halving at the 1 year mark after 365 days coming towards the end of October. So if you take the 0.35% and you go back to your calculator, right? You take that and you just plug in the numbers. Follow me here while we're doing this because these are important. Let me say 0. What am I going? Oh, there we go. I wonder why it keeps that number there. And I'm trying to do 0.35. And if I hit equals, right? Okay, so it is clear. So we're going to do the 0.35%. It's negative per day. So this increases. It becomes harder to mint. Harder and harder to mint. So even if we have a new cycle, you've been facing the minus 0.35% difficulty on mining. So you'll never get that back. on top of the price going up as well. And that would be 127.75% decrease in what you can mine at the halving. That's important. Going back to the white paper, the share rate 0.03% every day as well. So when you look and you reference the white paper, and if you read the Hex white paper from the very beginning, and why Richard Hart talked about the 10,000x gains, all right? And that was going to include, these numbers are included with T shares and staking. So Richard Hart invented what they call programmable money, right? Now, the concept and idea of Titanx stems from first principles and fair launch like Zen, where Richard Hart came out with the programmable money. People started to understand that code and math matched up to equate to the price of something going up based off scarcity and the difficulty to bring the tokens into circulation, which there's math in Bitcoin as well, but that decrease, in the halving to be able to mine tokens that happens every 4 years happens every 1 year with Titanx. So if you look at the white paper where people get the 55,000x is here. The cost to mine one Titanx moves up 55,000x, right, over time. You look at the chart here and the share rates. So there's share rates just like Hex. There's mining difficulties for halving just like Bitcoin. There's an increase in price and cost to bring these tokens into circulation. And we haven't even gotten to implementing the build on Titanx that amplifies this all, and the leverage plays. So the cost per miner in ETH gets 5x more expensive, 0.2 ETH to 1 ETH, right? Combined together, that's a 55,000 price floor increase on the cost to produce one Titanx. And that's the math. That's the math that's programmed in the code. So the thing is, with all those increases in price, decreases, the decrease in being able to mine tokens on a daily basis, the decreases by 0.35%. That takes into account all of those measures, which is the 55,000x times 3.5x equals 192,500x. And here in the white paper, it says this is the description of the math. This is not financial advice. Don't, take it with a grain of salt. But the math is there. The 55,000x number, whether you believe that is possible or not, would get measured from the absolute bottom, because this design was meant for it to be hyperinflation, which by design, like Zen, you saw the forever downtrend, and it looked forever down, then it recovered because it became very difficult to mint way faster than Zen. And we were burning tokens with build on Titanx in addition to that. And now we're entering the hyper deflationary phase, which is why the gains and the possibilities are so extremely high. And Pulse Jitsu, tell me your secrets. You tell me your secrets about 2 fucks, homie. What's going on with 2 fucks? How many users you got? Tell me your secret. How did you get all those users? Anyways, let's go. I like to troll him back. Anyways, so we're here looking at these stats and these numbers, right? And the difficulties and the halving. And now you go to the Titanx page, and we're here, and you look at the stats here, and you're going, man, there's 69 trillion tokens liquid that's worth 50 million. Build on Titanx protocols got 6.88%, 35.38% has been burned, 13.3% is staked. You see all these different things that are helping burning tokens out of circulation. And then you see the difficulty going down. And then you reflect back here and you see the stats, and it's undeniable that there is practically no inflation coming out to the end of the year. You're never going to see spikes like this again. There's going to be when a mining cycle happens, you're not going to see that again. Right? It's not there, and people aren't mining like crazy yet because the price isn't up. The price might not be up to that point till like the end of October, where X28, if all these platforms like Hydra, Helios, all the building Titanx protocols don't put this and the vortex from Hyper in a hyper deflationary phase. 28 is designed to force that anyways, which I think it's going to be lined up with the day 369 payout as far as with Dragon X. From what I understand, what I've listened as far as what Jake has said. So you throw that in there with the X28, which is supposed to give you a better bargain, like a bargain where you can't resist. People are going to want to burn their miners and probably burn their stakes. I think that's what the abilities are going to be able to burn miners and stakes. Takes more inflation out in the future. It's a beautiful thing, right? So with that being said, the proof is all here, where we're headed. And then the mining difficulty and all that stuff. Now if you go to Hyper, right? And you go, and we did yesterday's video, and we go, okay, Hyper's price went down with Titanx right at the inception. We're at day 193. The Vortex comes out in 3 days, which is going to be huge. You can watch the video from yesterday. I run on that. But Hyper's white paper too has some important things as to why this is like an awesome play. And it's like, to me, the safest bet, because if you look at Dragon X and all these other ones, like Dragon X is already taken off. The ratio to get back in the Titanx and to get more Titanx than what you entered with to swap for that or trade has gone up drastically. I think Dragon X still got X's under its belt, but Hyper's got more to go because it hasn't done it yet, like Dragon X, where Dragon X is cut into that. Maybe it has another 2, 3, 5, 10X, where Hyper's got more room to grow, much lower market cap, much Vortex is about to hit day 196. And it's been out for 6 months plus with similar difficulties as far as the early adoption amplifier. That's going down just like the Titanx miners, 10% per day for 350 days. And the difficulty is decreasing as well. Every single day, if you go to the actual website, you'll see the difficulties. You can see it here. And we'll go to the website, the daily difficulty for the miners. So we didn't have a huge period of minting this token. And we've had 6 months where people were like practically not making miners after the first month. Now they're making miners. But that difficulty has dropped significantly. You see here, it drops daily every 24 hours. You see that with the early adoption amplifier as far as like the amount of tokens you can mint. Now the price is at where it's at. I believe the price is fixed at 0.2, which is the main difference from what I understand. All right. So the difficulty, it becomes a little bit harder to mine Hyper every single day. And you can go to that white paper and you can see all those. This was a little bit more, it's a lot different. I would imagine it to be like spot on, but the max amount of time is 88 days versus like 280 days on Titanx. So things are going to look a little different. I'm looking at the white paper here. I'll bring it up for you guys so you can see. Maybe some of you are on that page right now. So what I'm saying is hyper miners being in profit right now. People are going to make those. And I was talking about yesterday going, man, like maybe somebody should build on Hyper. But then again, I was like, well, if you build on Titanx, I have some miners here. If you build on Titanx, you're practically building for Hyper. You're benefiting Hyper. So like you wouldn't really have to directly build on Hyper to benefit it. The build on Titanx protocols help this in this case. Let's take a look at the price, and then we'll go over price predictions in a minute here, which is going to directly go back to the survey I did this morning, or the vote. Let me take a look at that, see if it's changed. Oh, I think I got to reply back. Let's see. I have somebody message me a penny Titanx on day 2000 of the contract. A penny. Imagine that. It can happen way, 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 way down the road. So looking at the price of Hyper, which is 2,000 days, right? 3 years. 5 zeros and a 3273, $4 million market cap, 613,000. And it hasn't had the crazy inflation. It could have. People still made miners, at the beginning for as long as they did. It would have had crazy inflation. People are still making miners now all of a sudden because it's been going up for a month. But to me, it's like it's nothing. It's a drop in the bucket with Vortex coming in 4 days, while the difficulty has been increasing day by day, the difficulty of what you can mine for Hyper. So this one, and plus the build on Titanx, all build on Titanx protocols help Hyper, since it helps the price of Titanx go up. It helps the price of Hyper go up. So my thing here, since Dragon X is up so high already, and there's already outperformed Titanx by so many X's, the best option at this point for me personally, not financial advice, but for me personally, is to go. Let's see if you can hear me. Can you still hear me? Let me test my audio. Okay, I muted myself. People could still carry on those miners for up to a week. So I'd say a week out, you're going to really see the shock plus, like the supply shock, plus all the burning that's already happening for Inferno. It's going to be crazy. I give it to like December, the end of December, like between the 25th to October 1st, especially 3 days out with Vortex, to see this kick into gear, right? And you're going to see, is the mic still out? Is the mic still out? Let me see. Let me see. No, it should be back. The mic seems back. Sound is back. Okay. So we're going to be able to see a simulation early on in October and the end of October where we're heading, right? So you want me to throw numbers out there? I'm sure you do. Considering all the difficulties and what I think, like let's say we look at this as someone saying 55,000x was by design, but you look at Hex that did a 10,000x from its bottom, So a 10,000x from the Titanx bottom. Let me see if I can see the Titanx bottom here on this chart about where it was, just so I can predict it right. This chart's not loading correctly. And then we'll do our handy dandy calculator. So we go all the way, because I know it drastically went down from like the beginning. So let's say the bottom was in. Oops, I'm muted. So, how long ago was that wrecked? I wonder. Did we do the math? Did we do the math? So I was talking about the math here. We'll go back. I was talking about the math here, where a 10,000x from the bottom is a 0.0016, right? And I believe Hyper could do a 5-to-1 ratio because we saw Dragon X do a lot. I believe Hyper will have a 5-to-1 ratio. And if Titanx does a 10,000x, your 55,000x is at that 5-to-1 ratio, going back from Hyper to Titanx to 5x that position, which is a 55,000x, which is 0.008. And I had run this number with Richie, and he had said that was his number. I was like, dude, I gotta call you because that was my number too. But here's how I got to it. I never got a chance to talk to him about that, right? So he should have been muted for about 5 minutes. I just gave you guys what was happening there. But if you guys follow along, oh my gosh, the freaking mic! Why did it mute? Why did it mute? No mic, G. No mic check, bro. Mic check. Last we heard, you were looking for the bottom. Okay. So the bottom I predicted was 0. Or the bottom I looked at was 6 zeros and a 1 6. And I went into the calculator here and I did the 10,000x from there. Turns out to be 0.0016. That's a 10,000x. But going to all the math of the system and how it's programmed, a 55,000x would come to those, I believe, that get into Hyper and swap it back at a 5-to-1 down the road, whenever that is, which would 5x the 10,000x to a 50,000x plus. Does that make sense to you guys? And I'm so sorry I was muted. So sorry I was muted. It says, let me take a look here. Your math confirms what Jake said. I sent you the clip. Oh, so Jake says this. That's cool. Well, I'm coming to an equation that I thought was simple to put together, but apparently he has said this, right? But he doesn't confirm price because he can't technically, and we've heard him say that. So the play to get to a 55,000x ultimately, I would believe, and we got the numbers because there's 69 times more supply of Titanx versus Hyper, right? Then the 10,000x from the bottom was the 0.0016, the hyper inflationary going hyper deflationary. It all added up to that number that I've been calculating for a while. So I figured to propel your way there, you have to be in a leverage, which Hyper would bring it 5-to-1, which means Dragon X, even though it's hyper deflationary, it in a way it's a lot more risks because of the amount of X's that it's gone up and the amount of people that have gone with it, where you're dealing with a token that was mintable and wasn't minted for several months. It literally was ignored because it was not in profit. So the inflation is not high like Titanx, but it has the same mechanics of dropping down in difficulty. So no volume? No volume? Are we still no volume? Let me take a look here. He did confirm the price. DM'd the clip. Let's see. No volume, bit honcho. So there's no volume, guys. I'm gonna test it really quick. Golly. Well, no, it shows I have volume. Okay, I'm good. So it'll only God knows when a 55,000x would happen, but it's gonna happen on some leverage play. Whether it's Dragon X, I believe it is Hyper would make the most logical sense. And that's because it's like it's the real two-headed Siamese twin here, like the two-headed twin here. It was designed by Jake. It was made like Titanx. Dragon X is a lot different, but the higher the leverage, like if it 10x's, and it has, as far as outperforming Titanx, as far as DragonX, that's going to bring a lot more like sell pressure at times when it's going up in the short term and in the long run. And I think the reasonable thing to look at it is like Hyper was designed like Titanx, so they're going to like they're not going to drastically go. It's Hyper's not going to go like, oh, I'm going to be 20x on this, and you're going to get 20. I think it's going to bang out a 2-to-1 ratio, 3-to-1, 4-to-1, and then that 5-to-1. If you're looking for the 55,000x, when it does happen, it's going to be swapping back into Titanx to get 5x that bag, while Titanx is moving its way to a 10,000x, because we see all these build on Titanx burning tokens for all these other tokens, and we don't see the bigger picture when this is happening. We're going to see it, we're going to experience it, but the math is there. Those numbers are insane. Where's the money going to come from to pay out? Where's the exit liquidity going to come from? Well, all roads lead to Titanx. The exit is Titanx paired up with ETH, but just like any other token that has gone up in the bull market, when they hit the top, it almost looks like a crazy wick, and it drops. And the way you exit is through Titanx and ETH pool to get your ETH extracted there. But it only happens for a moment's time, bro. People like to think like, oh, it's 10,000x. We're all going to 10,000x. No. That's going to drop to a 9,000x. People are going to exit 8,000. You may not even be able to click your button quick enough to get a 10,000, let alone a 55,000x. But the X's that can be made are like huge, right? There wasn't a lot of people that 10,000x their hex 10,000x, not the hex community. The people that sold the top, maybe there was maybe a handful of people that sold between the 10,000 and 5,000x all the way to 1,000x. Go look at the chart. It didn't last at a 10,000x for a month or a week. It was a moment in time, literally like hours of the day, maybe half the day. People caught that. That's with all cryptocurrency. Where's the liquidity going to come from? Well, the LP out of 10,000x is going to be larger, the market cap and everything. So you can't, just to let you know, Todd, you can't think like it 55,000x's or anything 10,000x's, and we all get that. It as part of the hex pitch. It's like at 10,000x, and then you think in your brain, oh, everybody bought a Lambo, everybody 10,000x. What about the guy that was asleep while it did that on some part of the world that, that's their sleeping hours? He missed it. What about the guy that was on vacation and got home 3 days later after it hit? Go look at the chart. He missed it. And that's if he bought at the beginning and held to then, which is not a lot of people. That's why I reflect to this survey to show you it's not going to be a lot of people that make that. And if they do, it's going to be a much smaller bag than they originally started from. I've been doing this for a long time. And no matter how strong of a community you have, right? And I believe Titanx doesn't have a lot of people that have made it big versus the people that haven't. So a 10x would change 50% of people's lives. A 100x would definitely change probably 25% of people's lives. 1000x would definitely change another 25%. I throw those numbers out because half of those people that would have changed their life out of 10x are gone, right? They rode out a crazy bear market. So green candles shake people out just as hard as a red candle. Just as hard as a red candle shakes out users and holders, so does a green candle. By far, probably more. It's probably more people exit as it goes up from a 10 to 100x versus when people are it's going down and people sell for a loss. Because some people have to hold, right? And I'm giving you my experience and my 2 cents because not everybody, but I have probably lost more in crypto than most people have ever made, and then made more crypto than people have ever made. And I have wallets where I was looking at Nero earlier, and one of my wallets I held, and I was able to sell 2 billion Nero today at 3 zeros and an average of 3.7. Two of my trading wallets, I put like 6.8 ETH. I got out the morning before it went up about a month ago, before Vitalik's like, hey, I sold it. And that wallet would be worth like 500 grand at this price. The other wallet, because these are my trading wallets, that went 1.4 ETH, right? I sold at I think it went 2x and then a 10x, so 20x made up the difference. But if I had held the one that I had the most Ethereum between those two trading wallets, it would be like 500K. And it eats me because that wallet should be 500,000 right now, instead of taking a small loss trying to trade and catch the dip and going to bed and it going up and then waiting for a pullback. And then 2 days later it goes back up. And then now today got listed on Binance and it's parabolic. It's about 57x from my call that I told people on my YouTube channel. So I experienced the losses of not only selling for a loss, but selling too early. And that's why I have multiple wallets for bags where I'm like, I'm going to let this sit, bro. I'm going to let it sit. I'm going to let it sit. Traders and holders win multiple strategies for different wallets. Yes, you have to do that, because the emotion behind what I was experiencing and what made me hold my biggest holding was how fast the price moved on a smaller amount of Ethereum, and going, whoa, like that money. I have 5 kids and bills. Like that money changes my life because I get taxed hard. So that's what all these investors go through. And the math is there. 55,000x is there. I just did it for you. Go back to the calculator. It's so weird how I spoke with Richie B earlier. He's like, this is the price at. And I was like, dude, the way I got to that exact same number, which happens to be the number 8, which is unique in the Titanx ecosystem, was the math behind what Hyper would do at a 5-to-1 ratio after a 10,000x from the bottom of Titanx, right? I'll run it for you again. The bottom of Titanx, right, was roughly 6 zeros and a 1.6. 10,000x on that price brings you to 0.0016, right? Brings you to that number. And I was like, well, Hyper will probably be a 5-to-1. If it's a 5-to-1, you multiply that by 5, that's your 50,000x on that, right? That's your 50,000x at a 0.008. That's creepy to me. Creepy that I hadn't messaged him in a while, and we were aligned in the same thought, which Richie B got in day one and hexed like I did. So I've seen this all play out. I've had different wallets and different strategies. I mean, hex made me. Sold my ship too early, lost 1.4 M's. Dude, bro, I was buying. God, I've talked about this before. Anxiety. I bought SHIB when there was when you spend $50, the slippage was like 20%. There was no liquidity. I was having to buy like $5 at a time. Then I was able to get $20 as more people started buying. I was telling my friends LP was going up. So I didn't make it to there. Sound should be back on. Mic check, mic check. I don't know why the computer keeps doing that. All right. So yeah, I sold that my SHIB investment for like 150x or something. and I was just sick to my stomach to see how high it went. That's how I know, because I saw a lot of people exit there too, and it wasn't a lot of people that rode it to the top. There never is. So when you ask where the liquidity is going to come from, it's not going to be. It's going to shoot down in price like everything else. It's it's not one of those things where it can't hit 55,000x. If it does, then yeah, it'll be there for a moment's time. But in between, what if you sell on a 1,000x? What if you sell on a 2,000x? Even a 100x? And it looks like, based off the survey, if I click on that really quick here, let me refresh the page for the survey. See how many more votes we got. 47 people still believe the 10x by the end of the year. So you can think they're lowballing. I think they are. The end of the year for Titanx, and so instead of going on the calculator and my mic muting again, I definitely think like the 10x is conservative. I'm thinking anywhere between maybe bare minimum a 25x would be my best guess, because like December 28th, the vortex hits again. So if you're in hyper, you're gonna probably eventually have like a ratio start to build with the price of hyper to Titanx. You could be like 2-to-1 there, and it could be for a while. So I think that 2-to-1 is going to mean that Titanx is 10x, but if you leverage it to hyper, then you're at 20. So 2025 would be my rough estimate. That just, there's so many numbers I run in my head on top of like everything else. So maybe like a 25x by the end of the year would seem conservative. Heading into the first 3 months of 2025, I think we'll see the 50 to 100. But I do believe that March of 2025 is where we jump from a bull market, because the altcoin season should start in November after the elections, like around Thanksgiving or so. We should be in a full-blown like altcoin season, should be starting going into like December, and the Bitcoin is going parabolic. And I think March 2025, it ends like the cycles always have. And if for some reason it stretches out longer, then good. But like clockwork, I think that you get your 50 to 100x, and then based off the the ratios that you play, if you, let's say Titanx gets a 100x and you're at a 3-to-1 by that time at the peak of the bull in hyper to ratio back to Titanx, you should be at a 300x. Selling half the bag for me would make sense, and holding the other half for the next cycle, so that I can reach and expand out to get the 1,000, 10,000, or 55,000x down the road, because it could be like, years. And you're going to be like, oh man, I could have sold. Well, maybe even though you didn't sell and you're still holding, now you can hold out for the next period of the continuation of low inflation, the build on Titanx. It's going to be interesting. Make sure you got a liquid bag for that at the moment. Yeah, you're going to want to stay liquid. See, for me, Hydra, I thought about it. And I go, Hydra is going to be minted like crazy, just like Titanx. But now that prices are up, it's going to have an extended period of time where it's probably going to mint for like 2 months straight of profit and continue. People are going to keep minting it. That means inflation is going to be crazy every day going forward for 88 days. Where Hyper missed that because of the price of Titanx going down. People didn't mint for a long time. So you got to run that math, right? And you got to realize like Hyper is, for me, the ultimate play, because then you're going to see DragonX go to a 20, maybe like a 15 to 20 to 1 ratio versus Titanx. And it will, as fast as it goes up, it'll go back down. you'll still have the same effect. But I think like the safest bet where it'll gradually go up is Hyper 1-to-1, 2-to-1, 3-to-1, 4-to-1, then 5-to-1, and just be steady rocking there and not be too crazy out of control, like outperform it by miles. That's what I think. Play it slow on your miners, mine at the right moment. Yeah, what is this wallet? I don't know what I did on this wallet with hyper miners. Let me take a look. This is my public YouTube wallet. One of my wallets. I did one of the. I did like a half of one of these. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do maybe 5 more of these hefty miners with 10,000 power, but I'm gonna spread it out for the next 5 days going forward. I'm thinking, and then this wallet. What did I do? I did some tiny ones. I was testing it out, like the tiny ones. I was curious what these would do. I was like, maybe I can make like small ones every day. But I did these ones here just so I can demonstrate on YouTube and show people like this is how you make them. This is what the H rate bonus looks like and all that good stuff. So yeah, those are those numbers. So ultimately, the proof is in the pudding, guys. We're about to give it a week. Give it a week. Give it a week. We're about to see some things change in the ecosystem, and it's good for me because people are going to sleep on Hyper. Excited for Hydra. Great. I now am a supporter of Dragon X build on Dragon X, but I am thinking of like the amount of people they're going to make miners. It's going to be a lot of inflation and a lot of people dumping during Christmas versus like people that have been making hyper miners like I've been making. I started like mid-July, starting to see the bigger picture. And then when we went into August, I was like, oh, snaps, like we're in a profit now. So I just kept making them. And that was the idea behind my brain. I was like, I got so many mindsets in crypto, make so many mistakes, make so many good moves. So I was like, in the middle of July, let me make the hyper miners. I was like, let me think further down the road. Okay, I'm gonna make hyper miners from mid-July all the way into like the end of October, because then you got November, December, January, where I'm gonna plan on getting miners collected from hyper all the way to the end of January. And then I know from February to March, like this bull cycle could absolutely end where I think it will. And I already have collected my hyper miners at a good ratio. Maybe it'll be 2-to-1, 3-to-1. By then, who knows? And I could get at whatever X I'm at on Titanx, it's liquid. I could be 3-to-1 on top of that, which 3X is the amount. I think 100X easy by December. Yeah, my 25X is just very conservative and not like see, we're going into the unknown. 100X, I wouldn't say that you're crazy. I would say that you're probably right. Okay. And I just want to be careful when I say, because I'm like I said, I'm not a financial advisor, for damn sure not a professional. But my math, and I've been told for years, my math is like nuclear good versus my reading level is like a third grader. So I'm like really lacking on the literature side and reading. And man, my handwriting's so bad, but my math. You didn't see me touch anything. It muted itself. My math since I was a kid is freakish in some cases. Where this is simple math, right? This is very simple math. So you're not seeing anything like crazy. You would just have to. This is like 5 plus 5, times 5. That's the kind of math we're dealing with. From what I think, from what I understand, I think it's that easy. It might not be for everybody. I'm sorry if it's not. So let me look at the questions here. Degen math. Yeah, it's degen math. You have to look at the amount of burns that can happen from now to December with all the projects burning. X28, Hyper Vortex, they can go crazy with the crazy tokenomics. Yeah. And we could be like in a bull market we've never seen before on steroids. If I would have to see X28, and I think I don't know anything about X28, then I think that you can burn miners and stakes. if that's what X28 is, thinking about the amount of miners that are in existence that can still be burned, then yeah, my conservative 25x would get moved up to a bare minimum 50 to 50. So the 100x is on the table definitely by the end of the year. But most people, you're going to experience the 10x before you see the 25x, and most people will sell. It's going to happen. So there's going to be more tokens on the market bought up, and those people will probably burn or do something for the long term. Who knows what X28 is really going to present? Let's see. How did everyone get out of Hex with such low liquidity on Uniswap? Just like you do when you are selling a meme token. Like I sold 2 billion Nero this morning at 0.0037 average. I sold like 15,000 at a time. LP went down, the price went down. People bought it because it's hype. So you sell during the hype. So as people bought, I let the price go up, sell another 15,000. Sit there for an hour and a half until you've got your mark, and it's like I never was there. Versus if I went and market sold like $100,000 at a time, or what you can do single-sided exiting through liquidity, single-sided LP and exit through there. But like for me, I'm like, what if it doesn't reach my mark and this happens? Like for a meme token, I don't respect it that much to care. So I was market selling like 30 grand at a time, and then the price went up to 0.30s and a 4. I was like, ding, again. Went up to 4.2, bing, again. So I just sat there patiently exiting, and that's what happened. It wasn't like people were selling their entire bag at the same time. When these numbers happen, because people don't have experience in crypto, what do you think happens at the top? Well, I'm selling, but what else do you think is happening? People are buying the top because they love green candles. People are buying the top. And that's what allows you to get your exit liquidity if you do it strategically, slowly, or through single-sided LP, right? To exit that way. Do the, what am I saying about the V3 mechanics? Which I'm not a big fan of doing because, like I say, I just want to get out. Get out. I want to do all that extra thinking. Titanx could be the craziest thing to ever happen to crypto. Yeah, because okay. If I'm wrong about March 2025, and for some reason this is like a really long bull market, then you're going to be looking at that 55,000x or half of that amount. I could stretch out to wait for that. If there's signs that it's going to end, which we'll see like in the early part of the year, then obviously I'll get the hell out. But Jake did a lot of simple math and implemented that with miners. A 1 year halving's crazy. So you think in the next bull market, if you still have your Titanx after this, we go bear, then you've had 4 halvings while Bitcoin is aiming towards 1 for Titanx with probably no inflation with all this build on Titanx stuff going on. And if there's still users, there's still people there, you really made out. You'd be really happy. I read that one already. Jake is a hero. Yeah, I like Jake. I've never had an opportunity of ever talking with him. He followed me on Twitter and then unfollowed me. Obviously, during that time, I was like really angry about the staking. And I don't think he follows me anymore. I would love to interview him. I mean, if he wants, then come on board, But I'm like, I'm never gonna have somebody on here and ask like softball questions. I always gotta like poke the bear. Cause I want to dig. I always want to dig deeper to make sure like my calculations are right, and this guy has like already thought about the worst case scenario. So I watch him closely. As far as his interviews, and so far, all of my worst case scenarios, my hardball questions I would answer, he's already prepared and thought about it. Like, this is what could happen. You know, I think somebody has some information. You can burn miners and stakes potentially Hyper. Ooh, they are created on Ethereum, but will be usable on many other blockchains, allowing builders in any other ecosystem to build and in exchange burn. Imagine, let's see, I think he's talking X28. Oh yeah, jeez. I imagine what Titanx will do with ETH at 10K. Gosh, I'm forgetting it's a leverage on the ETH. $10,000 ETH. That's like a 3x. Like what would be a $10,000 ETH would be like a 3x multiplier on top of like if I'm predicting 25x, then we're at a 75x with the 3x ETH, something like that. But I think it works a little bit differently depending on what you bought it at. The price of ETH when you're spending 0.2 for a miner versus if you buy a miner now, the price of ETH, which I think the prices were like relatively close, but not close. So yeah. Isn't that amazing how Ethereum is going to pull a lot of these altcoins we're in like through the roof? But we're at the 1 hour mark. And I don't want to bore people. So make sure you follow me on X, right? Follow me on X. If you follow me on X, then you support the channel. Let's see. I was trying to get Richie B on here earlier. Maybe he can live stream with me tomorrow morning. I'll try to set that up. If you guys want Richie B on here live, do some questions talking about, because I want to approach him about how like his number matched up with mine, and then I find out that Jake had done all that already. So it all adds up. Titanx, build on Titanx. Yeah. So that 55,000X, I think in the long run, Dragon X and Hyper will be at the same 5-to-1. It's not going to continue to outpace it as much as it has, because people are going to trade that Dragon X down into Titanx and bring that ratio down. So in the long run, the leverages should roughly be 5-to-1 on, Dragon X and Hyper. But I think Hyper will be a steady 5-to-1. Dragon X will, have its parabolic move like it's been. But see, I'll be happy with who said that? A-OK. I'll be happy with the 100X, to be honest. Yeah, I would be too. Even like on, let's see my public wallet here. Let me see. So if I collect these miners, what I plan on doing, collecting these and just sitting there with them, I'll go on my screen and do the math. So if that's worth like a $20,000 mark, or $20,000 times 100, that'd make about $2 million on just these leftover miners on this account. Cool. And going to Hyper, right? Hyper goes up with the price of Titanx. So this value here could do multiples as well. In the short term, which is crazy. So don't forget to smash the like button, drop a comment if you're on YouTube, go to X, repost this, like it, hashtag all your build on Titanx, everything. Let's see, 4 10Xs and you're a millionaire with $1,000. Yeah, 4 10Xs and you're a millionaire with $1,000, right? Could have sold it on a double, 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 could have sold it on a double. Remember that. So pound a like button, drop a comment. Thank you guys for joining me today. Till next time, we shall do it again. Yeah, dog.